All right, today's reflection is on Holy Thursday. Holy Thursday is the day of the Last Supper and recognizes Jesus' last full day with his 12 apostles before he is crucified and resurrected. So it is the beginning, as I mentioned yesterday, of what's called the Triduum, Triduum. And we always talk about prefixes. The TRI, of course, means three. It's the 3 days, basically, of the Passion narrative, where from the Last Supper all the way up to the point of crucifixion, and then the waiting period before the resurrection. So it starts today with Holy Thursday. The gospel reading today is from the Gospel of John, chapter 13, verses 1 through 15, and it very specifically discusses part of what happened at the Last Supper, starting with Jesus washing the feet of his apostles. Before the feast of Passover, and just to keep in mind, these people were all Jewish at the time, they weren't Christians yet. So Holy Thursday is also what's called the Passover in Jewish tradition. So that's what they were celebrating at the time. Before the feast of Passover, Jesus knew that his hour had come to pass from this world to the Father. He loved his own in the world, and he loved them to the end. The devil had already induced Judas, son of Simon the Iscariot, to hand him over. So, during supper, fully aware that the Father had put everything into his power and that he had come from God and was returning to God, he rose from supper and took off his outer garments. He took a towel and tied it around his waist. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and dry them with the towel around his waist. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, Master, are you going to wash my feet? Jesus answered and said to him, What I am doing you do not understand now, but you will understand later. Peter said to him, You will never wash my feet. Jesus answered him, Unless I wash you, you will have no inheritance with me. Simon Peter said to him, Master, then not only my feet, but my hands and my head as well. Jesus said to him, Whoever has bathed has no need except to have his feet washed, for he is clean all over. So you are clean, but not all. For he knew who would betray him. For this reason he said, Not all of you are clean. So when he had washed their feet and put his garments back on and reclined at table again, he said to them, Do you realize what I have done for you? You call me teacher and master, and rightly so, for indeed I am. If I, therefore, the master and teacher, have washed your feet, you ought to wash one another's feet. I have given you a model to follow, so that as I have done for you, you should also do. So that is the gospel reading, basically talking about being a servant leader, how you're not above anybody else, you're not better than anybody else, you're equal to others, and what you can do for them to show that you're not better than them. Washing someone's feet is about as humble of an example as you can do. So during the Holy Thursday Mass, when we were able to have Holy Thursday Mass, the priest would usually wash the feet of parishioners. Not necessarily everybody, but they would usually call a few people up, and the priest would wash their feet in recognition of the Last Supper and what Jesus did for his apostles. So here is today's reflection on this reading by Bishop Robert Barron. In today's gospel, Jesus washes the disciples' feet. He is giving them a visual proclamation of his new commandment: love one another. As I have loved you, so you also should love one another. When we accept this commandment, we walk the path of joy. When we internalize this law, we become happy. And so here's what happens: happiness is never a function of filling oneself up, it is a wonderful function of giving oneself away. When the divine grace enters one's life, the task is to contrive a way to make it a gift. In a sense, the divine life, which exists only in gift form, can be had only on the fly. Notice that we are to love with a properly divine love. I have called you friends because I have told you everything I have heard from my Father. That was very radical at the time. complete, excessive, and over the top. Reflect. Compare how Christianity defines happiness with the opposite way our culture defines it. Which way are you practicing? And that's a great reflection. So many times our faith and what we know is right and wrong runs directly the opposite of what we see on TV or see on social media or hear from our friends. Whatever the cool thing might be at that time is not necessarily the good, the Christian, or the Catholic thing to do. So keep that in mind this week, particularly starting today on Holy Thursday. The things that you're using to define your happiness, are they based more on the culture that you're living in, or more, excuse me, or more on the faith life that you're trying to lead? So that said, I hope you guys have a great Thursday. Please spend some time with this, give it a little bit of thought. Tomorrow is Good Friday, which of course is the day that Jesus was crucified. So I will be revisiting with you at that time. Have a good day, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.